Well, my name is Brandon Coley Cox. My work over the years has been about blackness in a lot of different ways. These days it's becoming more about science, pressure, crystallization, and history. Corrective history, if you will. I used to really be invested in the figure. These days things have become a lot more abstract, as you can see behind me. And I'm thinking a lot again about like crystal formations and what pressure does to blackness and what comes out of that. So when I first started making this work, I was going through a process of mirroring alchemy, historic forms of European and ancient Egyptian alchemy as it sort of traveled through the ages. These days, because of this fellowship, I've really had the time to think about this more and more and really embrace this new alchemic sort of process. So I use a lot of these stones, in particular black tourmaline, which I'm really interested in. These are piezoelectric stones. This and quartz, which is behind me somewhere. Different forms of quartz. I have like clear quartz here. Of course, I'm interested in smoky quartz. Not black quartz, smoky. But these piezoelectric stones, we know them via watches, X-ray machines, clap-on lights and whatnot. They actually do stuff. So piezoelectric meaning that when a pressure is applied to them or when heat is applied to them, they release negative ions, which are super good for the human body in a lot of ways. So when pressure is applied to piezoelectric stones via, I don't know, squeezing them into a piece, then they're actually creating negative ions within the space. So as opposed to art, which in the Western construction is an object to be beheld from afar, this beautiful thing, right, that doesn't do stuff. Art is not a tool, as opposed to in African cultures, let's say, where spiritual objects are used to do things. I'm trying to embrace both things, this object to be beheld, but it's actually doing stuff. So like these pieces over here, these are also some current works, but they also have some of the old paper making inside of it, but then I've embedded it into one piece. This is actually two pieces that I made here. I've embedded it into one piece, and then I'm also embedding crystals like geodes into these works. So there are like 4 or 5 different geodes in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and so of course they're facing the viewer. So I have to do all this in reverse, like a printmaker. I'm a printmaker and a painter, but I'm here for this printmaking fellowship. So I'm trying to keep it right. I really love living in this place. Before living here, I was living in a small apartment, 1-bedroom apartment in New York City, in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy alone for 9 years. And it's a prime spot, but now I live in this giant house and, there's great air here. I've gained 30 pounds, there's really good food in Iowa, and again, like lack of pollution, less condensed space. Also just the other 2 fellows who are really great artists and people. I actually went to Yale with Joe DeVera. He graduated a year before me. And so for me, that's definitely helped a lot. The situation I was in New York, not just apartment-wise. So my apartment was my studio for 9 years. I was just using my living room, really, and I was making big paintings, prints, you name it. So my studio space was kind of non-existent. It was very clogged. And then again, I was still living in this polluted neighborhood and the air and the smog. And so going from there and coming here into this really big place, then I was working downstairs in a much larger studio than I had available in New York. That really helps a lot. So I always ask my students, who do you stand next to in art history? I think it's important to know and state that. So being a part of this legacy and also being a part of pushing painting and printmaking forward, now I get to stand next to Grant Wood. And that's pretty great.